we all have to deal with inherently stupid people, and it's sad, really. I mean, we don't want to deal with inherently stupid people, and sometimes those inherently stupid people are actually very smart people. But they found their niche. Their niche is in race baiting. Their niche is in saying, well, he wouldn't have if he were white. Really? Like yesterday, Stephen A. Smith said, well, Tiger Woods would have had a worse problem if he were arrested, not Scotty Scheffler. And I think that's total bullshit. See, to me, Tiger Woods would have never been arrested. They would have said, oh, Tiger, what are you doing? And they would never have arrested him in Louisville at the PGA Championship. That's just my take. But that's the world that we get into. The if and but he would have, had he been white, had he been black. Now, the latest is just an evil-looking dude. I mean, this dude looks like he's pissed off at the world, and he's pissed off at the world because he's an untalented hack. His name is David Dennis. Apparently, his dad is some civil rights guy, and he's taking up the cause. That's great. Good for him, man. Take up the cause. But he's doing what is typical. See, when people took up a cause, John Saunders, the late, great John Saunders, and I went to the Civil Rights Museum in Alabama on a day off when we were doing an Alabama game. And what the folks in the civil rights fight did, try saying that 3 times, was they did something strong, something unusual, something that isn't done all the time. Well, saying he would be in jail or he would lose his job if he were black is basically anymore like saying, hello, honey, how are you this morning? It's not unique. It's not different. It's never true. And, of course, it's not unusual. Well, this guy, David Dennis, writes a piece for something called Anscape, which basically is ESPN's giving in to George Floyd and making their DEI card to be filled up. It is all about African-American stuff. And as always happens, when it's all about African-American stuff, it becomes a lot of anti-white stuff in the day and age that we live in. And I don't read it, but it comes in front of me when guys do what this guy David Dennis did. He says that Harrison Butker, who, by the way, broke no laws, said nothing racist, nothing sexist. He gave an opinion at a Catholic school as a Catholic to graduates of a Catholic school. The opinion espoused Catholic, the horror, values. Oh my God, wait a second. It didn't espouse raping. It didn't espouse robbing. It didn't espouse hating. It espoused loving. We can't have that, David Dennis. That is horrible. How could a man keep his job about espousing being a husband? What being a wife means? Well, it's not inclusive. It is to the Catholic people that he talked to. And why does everything have to be inclusive? Why can't it be what I believe? Why can't it believe what you believe? I don't get it. And we all know this. This is the easiest answer to any question. Who are the least inclusive people on this earth? Liberals. The ones that say they're the most inclusive. Say anything wrong, David Dennis Jr. is going to get the angry face on and come at you. He's going to get the pen and come at you because you dared say that a young man should go out and love his family, should go out and be a man, protect, earn. Oh, my God. And that a woman, even though she's going to have a job and a career's heart will always be in the home, which, according to every woman, and I've documented this, that I'm around, 5 very successful women who have kids, it's true. But David Dennis Jr. has to do something. He's got to get Don't At Me to talk about him, and we fall for it every time. We fall for these idiots every time because our goal here is to stand up against woke idiots like David Dennis Jr. In fact, I would argue David Dennis Jr., whoever this guy is, isn't really dumb. He's probably very smart. But he sees Kaepernick and others make a career of this. He sees folks make an actual career of being race-baiting dividers, except this guy's hired by all white dudes. Like every dude that hires anybody, except for one at ESPN, is white. So this guy gets an opportunity because he's a race-baiting clown, and ESPN scrambled back in the George Floyd days to find people to put on, and his agent did a good job of getting him on. There isn't a soul alive that says, I got to read what David Dennis Jr. writes, other than family. There isn't a soul alive that says, hey, is David Dennis Jr. on whatever show you want to pick? I'm not even sure. ESPN bets today? Is he on PTI today? Is David Dennis Jr. on Around the Horn today? Oh, no, he's not. I can't watch. Oh, yeah, he is. Oh, get me some popcorn. I got to see some nondescript hating guy named David Dennis Jr. I got to get his take on the Celtics. I got to get his take on the choke job by the Pacers. Because if David Dennis Jr. is on, we all watch. There aren't 5 people watching this, maybe not a total, but there aren't 5 people watching this that have ever heard the name David Dennis Jr. until I just brought it up today. But he wants Harrison Butker fired. Okay, Harrison Butker, let's see what David Dennis Jr. has to say. Here's what David Dennis Jr. has to say. Butker's comments have been met with an NFL statement that's tepid in its rebuking. Why is there even a statement that is anything in its rebuking? Why is there a rebuking statement? Where's the statement on every rapist, robber, criminal? There's a curt crime spree going on in the NFL. 2 big fat linemen in another crime, non-Rashee Rice division. Well, they were selling loads of marijuana and they got pinched. Anyway, and while some commentators have ironically turned the stick-to-sports phrase usually aimed at black athletes who speak up about injustices around on Butker, he most likely won't suffer any tangible consequences for her comments. It's a reminder that athletes, especially white athletes, can speak out as much as they want about any number of marginalized group as long as they are punching down at those whose society deems unworthy of defending. Well, let me ask you a question. Just a simple question. All those guys that spoke out in the NBA, anything happened to them? All those Colts that took a knee, anything happened to them? All those players that took a knee, anything happened to them? I tell you who it did happen to, Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow took a knee just like Kaepernick took a knee. Tim Tebow was out of the league. Now, a lot of you are going to say, well, both couldn't play. Not necessarily true. Last Denver Broncos playoff win led by Tim Tebow. But Tim Tebow was out of the league. Took a knee for Christianity. Nobody wanted to deal with the Tim Tebow circus. Nobody. Just like nobody wants to deal with the Kaepernick circus. And Kaepernick doesn't really want to come back. He's smart enough to act like he does, or did. Now, it's water under the bridge. But he was smart enough. He's viewed as the Messiah. He grew his hair out, got his beard, and started talking in philosophy. And if you really listened to what Kaepernick said in his documentary, he's really stupid. If you really listen to what Tebow said, he's really smart. But neither could play in the league because no team wanted the nonsense that both of them brought, not from them, not from Kaepernick or not from Tebow, but those around him. I mean, hell, who wants that of marginal players? And that's what Kaepernick had become. And that's what Tebow was. So anyway, other than those two, you name me anybody. Has LeBron James really felt any indignation from his moronic comments about everything? Like when LeBron James speaks, you just go, oh boy. Has anybody? Of course not. Doesn't matter if you're white or black. We're used to athletes speaking out. We're used to it, and you know what? The white community is afraid to comment on it, and anytime a white guy does, the black community rips him and compares it to the black community. And both are garbage. White people, you should speak out anytime you want. Black people, let's be honest. It isn't only white dudes that face no repercussions for sticking to sports. It's everybody. Somebody says, hey, stick to sports in a column. Is that a real repercussion? Is that any kind of tangible consequence? I would sit back and go, okay, let's go through the guys that have been outspoken. LeBron James has been outspoken. I haven't seen one tangible nothing. LeBron James faked the racism thing at his house, apparently. Not one tangible deal. So stop with that. Just stop. You know, it's amazing to me. People buy this crap. And look, there's a market for it. I don't know if David Dennis Jr. had a job before he went to ESPN, and I don't know if he can get a job after ESPN. Doesn't matter. ESPN hired David Dennis Jr. to do exactly what David Dennis Jr. just did. I liked it better when David Dennis Jr. just stuck to anonymity because he's an idiot. There's a whole list I got right here. I got a whole list. Friend of mine named J.D. Campbell. J.D. Campbell was the longtime sports information director of the Indiana Hoosiers. He was my sports information director at Bowling Green. And like everybody, black or white, in sports, you're just kind of tired of everything being about black and white. Sent me an email or text yesterday. He said, these are the athletes in our lifetime who were at the same level of hype as Caitlin Clark, Joe Namath, Muhammad Ali, Roger Staubach, O.J. Simpson, Bruce Jenner, Julius Erving, Sugar Ray Leonard, Walter Payton, Mary Lou Retton, Magic, Bird, Jordan, Montana, Ripken, Jackson, Jeter, LeBron, Manning, Brady. That's just off the top of my head. And you know what was never mentioned? It was never mentioned about somebody being black, somebody being white, somebody being gay, somebody being straight. JD points out they were just exceptional athletes who you either loved or you rooted like hell against. And then it was only a small amount of time, and I've always said this, it was only a small amount of time where you rooted or cheered against, and then they moved into the background. Now, oh my God. Now we've got, and again, I go to the race baiting. Caitlin Clark, perfect example. So Caitlin Clark's out there balling. Caitlin Clark is playing basketball. And all of a sudden, unlike that entire list that I just named, oh my God, here come the race baiters. It's not just David Dennis Jr. out there spewing stupid hate. Here she comes. You know she's coming. And I don't understand why we give this woman any freaking play whatsoever. Here comes Jemele Hill. Jemele Hill, who is, she was described yesterday. I'm not going to get into it. She says this: we would be very naive if we didn't say race and her sexuality played a role in her popularity. While so many people are happy for Caitlin's success, including the players, this has had such an enormous impact on the game. There is part of it that is a little problematic because what it says about the worth and marketability of the players who are already there. Hill specifically called out brands like Nike for playing a part in ignoring more diverse players, arguing that black women are often erased from the picture. Hey, Jemele, I hate to tell you this. You only got a job at ESPN because you were black. I mean, I hate to tell you that. ESPN only got mad at me because I was a middle-aged white guy. ESPN allowed Jalen Rose to talk absolute lies on TV because he was black. Half of the anchors that you see on SportsCenter are only there because they're pretty women. I mean, I hate to tell you this, but in every area of life, different circumstances like race, like attractiveness, like sexual orientation, they help or they hurt. It's a part of it. Now, you're mad about it. Hey, the bald-headed black woman on ESPN SportsCenter ain't there because she's the most talented woman doing sports. She has a unique look. I mean, what do you want me to tell you? I don't know how to get it done to you. I don't know how to get it across your mind. And to Caitlin Clark, I would say good. I would say good. If part of your success, which of course is total bullshit from Jemele Hill, but we'll get into that in a minute, is because you're a straight white woman, good for you. Lucky you. What do you want me to tell you? The country's about 70% white, about 95% heterosexual. What do you want me to tell you? She appeals to an audience. What do you want me to tell you? But you know what? So did Tiger Woods. So did Serena Williams. So did way back in the day O.J. Simpson. Bill Cosby did. What do you want me to tell you? LeBron James does. Like him or dislike him, he does. Anthony Edwards does. What do you want me to tell you? When you're really good at something, which Jemele Hill is not, guess what? We like you or we root against you. One of the two. But bottom line is you become really popular. Oh, my God. The number one pick in the WNBA draft, the all-time leading scorer in college basketball. Oh, my God. The first pick in the draft. She's averaging 17 a game. Oh, my God. Can you believe she is popular? It can't be because of the things I just said. Oh, my God. It's got to be because she's white and heterosexual. Well, you know what? Good. Maybe we need more African-American or white heterosexual women playing in the WNBA. Because I got to tell you, the way the WNBA was going, it wasn't that popular at all. Now, all of a sudden, Angel Reese, she's walking around in low-cut dresses. The girl from Stanford, low-cut dresses. They ain't just selling hoops, lady, and good for them. Because the way the WNBA was headed, I don't care who was the stars. And we had white stars, we had black stars, we had Sue Bird, we had Cheryl Swoops, that angry lady. We had all kind of different type people that you're telling me are stars, and the WNBA was in the toilet. Period. I mean, nobody was flushing anybody out. Nobody was putting African-American women to the backside except for fans who had no interest. Zero. And in fact, are starting to lose interest even now in Caitlin Clark. All you got to do is look at the numbers. They're dwindling in terms of attendance. Still great, but not what people thought they were going to be, and not as good as when she first started. I know she's only 10% into the season, but good. I'm only on TV because I'm incredibly handsome. Would OutKick like all of this as a black guy? Sure. Of course. When you got all of this, they're going to put you on TV whether you're white or black. I'm sorry. That's just the way it is. And if you don't like it, Jemele, hey, man, keep sitting up there bitching. I'm sure someone's paying you to do this. I'm sure somebody's interested in what you got to say. Me personally, I just make fun of you. I mean, damn. Are you kidding me? A white, heterosexual, great player with an edge is popular. Oh, my God. I cannot believe this. And now it's problematic. Well, let me give you a list. It wasn't problematic. And again, I go back. Let me give you the list, Jemele, you dumbass. Joe Namath, Muhammad Ali. Pretty good list. Staubach, Spitz, OJ, Jenner, Bruce, not Caitlin, Sugar Ray Leonard, Julius Erving, Walter Payton, Mary Lorette, Magic, Bird, Isaiah, Jordan, Montana, Ripken, Jackson, Jeter, LeBron, Manning, Brady. Nobody gives a rat's ass. Nobody gave a rat's ass whether somebody was white or black, except for, well, those clowns like David Dennis Jr. and Jemele Hill. Let's go Jr. Jemele Hill Jr. that are trying so hard. They're not trying hard to raise the level of anything. They're trying hard to bring people down, and they suck. Michigan State, I don't blame you for doing this. I don't. You got a rival, Michigan. Football team, yours a mess. You hired a guy, he ended up being an idiot. Next thing you know, he's stooping somebody, and he's out. He hired another guy, Jonathan Smith. Yay, Rock, go fight, win. All right. So Michigan State, you have a chance here. You do. You have a chance to get this going against Michigan, to bring Michigan down, and you're going to use Central Michigan as a ploy. Remember Connor Stallions? Remember Connor Stallions being seen on the sideline of a Central Michigan State game. Connor Stallions was the little twerp that stole signs for Jim Harbaugh. All of a sudden, Jim Harbaugh went from being on the hot seat to a national champion and a celebrated coach. Was Stallions the reason? Well, let me put it to you this way. He didn't hurt. And it's no coincidence that once Michigan started learning what the other team was doing, they started winning a little bit more than they were. Just saying. How does this factor in with Central Michigan? Well, Central Michigan is sitting there like Jemele Hill evaluating a white athlete. Arms folded, tapping their feet. You got to prove to me. Okay. Central Michigan, you got to prove to me that you're not a bunch of clowns. Central Michigan and Michigan State played back on September 1st, 2023. The images of Connor Stalions in the skies have been public since October. I'm interested in the outcome of the investigation, and it could impact our relationship with Central Michigan, the athletic director, Haller, told the Lansing State Journal when discussing the investigation. Now, this is taken as a threat to Central Michigan. Why is this a big deal? Well, because Central Michigan, playing Michigan State or playing Michigan in football, makes itself hundreds of thousands of dollars and doesn't have to travel by plane, which saves them hundreds of thousands of dollars. So they want a relationship. I don't blame Haller for saying, yo, are you going to do the right thing here? If the right thing is, I don't know, to turn Michigan in, then Central Michigan has a choice. Do we jeopardize our relationship with the state school, or do we jeopardize our relationship with the other state school, the other Big Ten school, Michigan State or Michigan? Which one do we jeopardize? Because make no mistake, if Central Michigan gets cranky here and turns in Michigan, then they got a problem with Michigan. If they don't, then they got a problem with Michigan State. Here's the answer to the question, Central Michigan. Just do the right thing. Just tell the truth. Get an investigation, find out who it was, turn over your findings, and just be honest. You shouldn't be bullied one way or the other. You shouldn't think about it one way or the other. You know, all across college campuses, they try to espouse the teachings, the growing into responsible men and women, young wives and husbands. That's what we're molding here. Career and business leaders. Well, okay. If you're really about that, do yourself a favor. Do the right thing. Find out, was it Stalions? Find out why. Investigate, punish, whatever you got to do, and then turn it over and tell both Michigan and Michigan State, it's what we did. It ain't our fault. Well, it kind of is, because you were dirty enough to let a guy on your sidelines. You were just ridiculous enough to let that guy Connor Stalions stand on your sideline in a disguise. But hey, that's all right. Now you did wrong. Now do it right. It ain't that hard. See, maybe I see the world in black and white, right and wrong, whatever phrase you want to use, but I do. And in this case, it's simple. Michigan State's trying to squeeze them. Central Michigan knows that Michigan would squeeze them if they turn them in. So what? Do the right thing. And it'll all work out for you. No, well, it always does. I'm sorry. It always does. Let's shift gears to actual on the court. Here's the deal. The Indiana Pacers last night basically had a game. They had the ball up 3, under 30 seconds a couple of times. Well, one time for sure. And my man Tyrese Halliburton, for whatever the reason, decided to dribble the ball out of bounds. Now, let me get rid of this. There is not a chance in hell, 0, that the game was fixed. 0. Don't at me about that garbage. Don't even think about adding me about that garbage. Get that out of the way right now. Let me explain something to you about that, because I had people say, see, Dan, the NBA was fixed. Oh, jeez. So you're telling me, let's get rid of that a guy who has bled and sweated and worked his whole life off, wins 2 series, has a chance to win game 1 in the Garden, is just going to dribble the ball out of bounds on purpose to help lose the game? Are you insane? Guy's making like $30 million. He makes more than the entire mob operation that could come at him in Oshkosh, Wisconsin, or Indianapolis. So just shut up. Let's get rid of that first. No, they choked. And I hate to say it, but they did. When you just dribble the ball out of bounds and then you can't get the ball inbounds off of a sideline, and you don't think to call a timeout, you choked. Now, Jaylen Brown made an unbelievable left corner three-point shot under big heat in the corner, dead of the corner, unbelievable play. That's why you pay him $60 million. You may have earned the $60 million last night, but the Pacers choked. Here's Rick Carlisle, the coach of the Pacers, putting it on him.
Well, I love the way our guys fought in this game. This loss is totally on me. With 10 seconds in regulation, we should have just taken the timeout, advanced the ball, and found a way to get it in and made a free throw or two and ended the game. But it didn't happen, and we made some other mistakes. But our guys just need to concentrate on fighting the way they fought in this game from start to finish, and we'll be back Thursday.
Well, he's right. I mean, look, it's not on him. He didn't make the plays. And the Pacers, they would have been able to advance the ball on the other side of half court, which would have opened up the entire court. But the player taking the ball in bounds has got to know enough to call a timeout when he can't get in. And if you watch the play, choked. And I never use the word choke with professional athletes. I wasn't good enough. I know how good you have to be a professional athlete. I wasn't good enough. I just wasn't. I wish I was. I wasn't. They are. And they played their brains out, the Pacers did, but you can't give a team like the Celtics a shot. You know, a lot of people are saying on an inbounds play underneath, you got to foul when you're up 3. Well, yeah, you do, but it was kind of difficult to foul based on the set that was ran. Guy gets the ball, he's pump faking in the corner. I mean, I don't know, man. In the NBA, to me, those continuation rules, when you get fouled, continue on, shoot the ball, make the basket. I don't know. Sometimes it's like 3 steps in a dribble and they call it good, and 1. So you're a little leery to foul in the NBA in the situation the Pacers were in because the guy caught the ball in a shooting position. And if you just tap him, I don't know, and he goes up and shoots, now you're giving up 3. I would say the shot that Jaylen Brown made was about a 10%er, but guess what? He hit it. So people are saying you should have fouled, and maybe you should. Hey, look, in college you can foul before the ball is inbound, and really that's what you should do. I mean, you foul before the ball is inbound, and then they got to make a couple free throws, and you got to make free throws, and hopefully you win the game. But the fact of the matter is the Pacers gagged. They said they planned to foul, but Siakam pulled back because of how fast Brown went up with his shot. That's right. That's what I'm saying. Like, Siakam was there, but Brown, the rules on N1 are just too ambiguous. And I would say this, the Pacers 99.999, if not 100 out of 100 times, I'll say it, 100 out of 100 times, would take that situation. Ball in the deep left corner, Siakam, a real long defender, whether he puts his arms up or not, right all over Jaylen Brown. You'd take that 100 out of 100 times in the Garden on the road. That worked bad for him. Okay, you heard from Carlisle. Let's hear from Tyrese Halliburton.
Tyrese, Rick, in his comments up there, took what he said was full blame for not calling timeout to advance the ball with about 10 seconds left. Were you looking for a timeout in that moment, and just what's your reaction to him?
That's not on him. That's not on him. Us as players, we got to do a better job. I had 2 bad turnovers that I feel like cost us the game, one in fourth and one in overtime. So, I understand he's protecting us, protecting, me as well. But I'll take that more than he should. I got to be better, and I will be better in game 2, and we'll respond the right way.
Yeah, he's so good. Like, he's just so good. He's so smart. You know, he's the kind of guy you could follow as a leader. And Carlisle did the right thing, too. I mean, let's be honest, as a coach. See, there are different kind of coaches. Bob Knight, myself, I was 10 years a head coach. Every loss I pinned on me. I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I didn't prepare him right. I didn't do that, blah, blah, blah. Calvin Sampson, who most people think is as good, if not the best college basketball coach in the country in college basketball, I worked for. He never blamed it on him. Yeah. We put the players in the right situation, throw the ball in bounds, get the ball to what are you doing? Make the shot. Well, never. I never saw him blame himself. And that's not good or bad. That's just you got to be yourself. You got to be who you are. Me, even high school or college losses that I played in, I always blamed me. Some coaches do, some coaches don't. But good for Carlisle for saying that. And, frankly, good for Tyrese Halliburton for saying that. But at some point, you got to give the Boston Celtics a little credit. I mean, damn. The shot Jaylen Brown hit was unbelievable. The set they ran was terrific. Man ran damn near in circles off a screen. Next thing you know, gets the ball left corner, pulls up and drills it. And then in overtime, well, you kind of saw it coming. In fact, I had the Pacers plus 10, and I was hoping they wouldn't lose by 10 in overtime. I was like, hey, man, it was part of a no-sweat 3-team parlay. And I'm sitting there going, hey, hold on, don't lose by 10 because you knew what was coming. And what came was Jemele Tatum. Jemele Tatum, basically, the last 6 minutes of the game got so frustrated by Nesmith of the Pacers that he kind of quit on offense, kind of stood at half court. Kind of did. I mean, the reason I was watching this was because he had 26 points with 7 minutes to go. And the number was 29 and a half, and he didn't score another point until the overtime. So, look, don't at me about it. That's what I was watching. Sorry, but I was. I mean, damn, money spends. Losses, we move on. I didn't lose. They lost, so I move on. But money I'm going to spend today. But anyway, you knew what was coming, and what came, which was a whole lot of Jason Tatum in overtime. Hey, we'll see. Pacers can say it. They got to go play it. They didn't play the greatest game ever. They didn't play a perfect game. Tim Legler was terrific on the postgame, the only thing worth watching in ESPN Hoops, and he said it right. Pacers actually have more to clean up than the Celtics. So we'll see what happens. But all in all, it was a hell of a night. But that one, the Pacers simply gave away. Out of all the egos in the NBA, sticking with the NBA here, longtime guard Chris Paul makes his case as the biggest brat of all time. And one retired NBA ref of 32 years, well, he calls CP3 the biggest blank hole he's encountered in his 32 years of officiating. I'm going to tell you, and I know you're recording me, but I get asked all the time, who are some of the tough guys, some of the bad guys in NBA? This guy Spooner, 32 years in the NBA. And when I tell them that Chris Paul, in my 32 years in the league, was one of the biggest assholes I ever dealt with, they say, not Rasheed Wallace or da-da-da-da-da. Nope. Nothing like Paul. That's right. That's easy. I mean, Chris Paul is, and he goes on to talk about how Chris Paul has a very calculated image, a very calculated, a very carefully crafted image. And he's right. Everybody said that. From the time he was in college, look, I go to this. If you are a bad guy, a perceived bad guy, right? A perceived, I'm going to hit you, we're going to fight, whatever, then be that. Like Ricky Mahorn. Those of you that remember Ricky Mahorn from the Bad Boys was a bad boy. He'd knock you on your ass, he'd fight you, but he's one of the nicest guys in the history of anything. I had a chance to know Rick Mahorn. He's great. People thought Charles Barkley was this mean No, he's great. You kidding me? Stop it. But the other way, I don't like. The other way where you're trying, like Chris Paul, to cultivate this image and great guy and blah, 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 and you're really a jackass, that I can't get down with. I can never get down with that. But it's not surprising. It really isn't surprising. Hey, Emmitt Smith is mad. You're saying who? Remember the running back, Emmitt Smith? He's in kind of the sidekick of the commercial with Peyton Manning throwing beers to the bar. Emmitt Smith, he's raging on blind support of DEI by once again bashing the free state of Florida, his alma mater, University of Florida, the free state of Florida. He's mad. He doesn't like the fact that diversity, equity, and inclusion hiring is going away. Like, I got to tell you, I'm not going to lie to you. I don't care what any of these old athletes say. Anyway, we'll talk about it. When I see them destroying DEI for the sake of politics, it's not even common sense. Of course it's common sense. Hire the best person. I mean, let's get that out of the way right now. Hire the best person for the job. This is just sheer out of spite and sheer power. At the end of the day, this country was built on people fighting for what is right for everyone, not just a select few. Right. Right. We're going to be here a lot longer than you, DeSantis. A lot longer than you, Jeb Bush. Going to be here a lot longer than any other governor that tries to push something of this magnitude down the throats of so many Americans and so many Florida citizens. To me, that's a problem. Good. I like that he's standing up. I do. But common sense dictates you hire the best person. If I'm trying to grow a business, I don't care if you're black, white, green, orange. I don't care. Who's the best person that's going to help me make money? Period. Who? Caitlin Clark? Hire her. Asia Wilson? Hire her. Who's the best person that's going to help me make money, show up on time, do all the things that I want, and be less of a pain in the ass? Hire her. Hire him. I don't care. Black, white, green, or hire him. Don't make me hire somebody just because, well, they fill a quota, even though they're going to hurt my business, even though they're going to be a pain. No, don't do that. You got an African-American person that's the best hire him. White person that's the best hire him. That's it. That's common sense, Emmitt.